Let me welcome you to the Nuvento's Agent Factory, where we are building the next level of agents who will drive the agentic AI revolution. I'm here at the Nuvento Agent Factory, an experience center that we have built to showcase multiple capabilities of AI. With me, I have Jojith, the CTO of Nuvento, and I have Sreena, who is the Vice President of Sales. Together today, we'll talk a bit about how Nuvento is working hard to shape the next capability of AI. Jojith, I know you've been working on agentic AI for some time. What do you think has been some of the ways docketry is changing how agentic AI is done today?
So, if you look at the document part of the whole ecosystem, right, it has created a lot of mess for some of our key, Fortune, I would say 2000 companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, documents, especially at the CFO's offices, right? You see it coming in and going out with no traceability, coming in and a lot of human workforce is leveraged to process it. A lot of inefficiencies. I mean, it has been existing for a long time, but now we have a solution, right? Especially a solution which is more scalable, which is more dependable, and of course empowered or driven by AI. So that's this agentic AI into the document world, right, or document ecosystem. So what we try to do is we try to kind of deploy agents, AI agents, empowered or powered or driven by, I would like to call what we call like LLMs, right? So this is actually a trend today. As opposed to when LLMs was introduced in 2022, mm-hmm. and when that is compared to today's capabilities of LLMs, it has really traversed a really innovative and transformative path, wherein LLMs have become super intelligent through the data and the document it is fed with. It actually generates those deepest levels of insights. And of course, before even going to the insights, right, what is the level of extraction? What is the level of extraction, accuracy of extraction, the intelligence in terms of extracting the data points, right? Mm-hmm. It has emerged from the day, probably during the time of 2022, when it was introduced to where we are. It has been a tremendous change. So we want to bring that change into enterprises, right? So there has been a lot of change that is happening outside. Mm-hmm. Of course, in the proprietary world as well as in the open source world, from the likes of GPTs and to the likes of, from an open source world perspective, Llamas and the Geminis of the world. We want to harness the power, the latest and the greatest from all these LLMs. Mm-hmm. Plug that into our agent framework and put that out as docketry agentic AI and maximize the efficiencies, right, in terms of extraction, in terms of document intelligence, and finally in terms of document empowered insights for businesses.
Can't agree more, because when I'm looking at from the last decade to the coming decade, what worked in last 10 years, it's not gonna work from a market perspective. If you want to scale, you need to infuse these technologies in your growth plan. Correct. But where and how, that's not going to be an easy decision. Right. Now that's where you need to look at the space like documents, because that's the most non-risky part and everybody wants to get out of it. Mm-hmm. So from any industry, starting from BFSI to healthcare, document management is a big task for any customer. Again, is a cost center. Mm-hmm. So how do you optimize that? These are the place where Gen Z is not gonna be interested.
Correct.
Now, next 10 years, if you guys wanna, like any business, if you wanna scale, it's basically is about these AI agents. Yeah. So these are the places where Gen Z is opting out and AI agents are coming in.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. That's an easy piece to take it up.
These are very valid points. I think what today's generation is not interested in is they feel that these documents or the level of document search which is there today is pretty inadequate for them, number one. Yeah. So document searching is one big issue. Right. Document extraction and information extract is another area of interest that people have. Right. Also document discoverability. How can you create and discover these documents? So I have seen scenarios where you have legal documents, right? So somebody has, let's say, signed a legal document, and then they have gone ahead and signed other documents. Now, will this legal document here have an impact on the legal clauses that you have signed in another document? These kind of intelligence, this kind of activity is today taking a lot of manual effort, and I feel that is somewhere that was one of the first starting points at which we started thinking about docket.
Yes.
And today, Docketry is able to tag, search. Also, at some stage, we believe can generate content. So, for example, you can say, I have this document and this document. Let's say I have this requirement and this requirement. Docketry tomorrow, where we foresee is we'll be able to read both the requirement documents and then say, these are going to be your impacts, these are going to be your requirements. So this level of next generational capability that we are trying to build, I think will be a game changer in the coming days.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. And with this agent factory, so we are not limiting the potential of these agents just to documents.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at multiple functions at a customer ecosystem, which are those pieces? Especially in the service side, the
Right.
service is completely driven by people.
Right.
And if you don't have enough resources who can
Yeah.
cater 24/7, 365 days, your business is going to doom.
Yeah.
Over
Absolutely.
10 years,
Yeah.
scaling means these AI agents.
Correct.
How are you going these AI agent strategy?
Correct.
Putting in these strategic decisions on the table.
Correct.
Assigning those budgets around it is need a huge strategic decision.
Correct.
Absolutely. So a lot of advancements have happened in terms of interoperability between agents. So earlier we never had that. We had to code it, right? We had to customize it. Now
Absolutely.
there are a lot of good open source frameworks that are actually enabling that interoperability between agents. So which is enabling, or probably to kind of I would say double down the effect of agentic revolution. So if you look at the industry standard, right, some of our peers and some of our competitors, everybody's talking about deploying, it's not just in a few tens or hundreds, but it's in millions, right? So,
Absolutely.
it's about millions of agents you probably see in the next few years.
Yeah.
So it's about, earlier we used to talk about robots coming into, there have been some sci-fi movies talking about robot being inducted, but that is becoming into a reality through agents, actual AI-powered agents.
Correct.
Rather than actual mechanical robots, right?
I agree.
Yeah, but that is also getting introduced into the areas where it needs to be, like for example, the warehouses and mining, shipping.
Yeah,
and
even
all
in
those things.
healthcare. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was recently in discussion with a person, and I said, for example, for years, majority of the Indian call centers, one of the things people told them was their language skills were lacking,
Right.
or the number of people that are there who had that kind of subject matter expert was lower, right? So let's say, for example, that is an average. They would say, okay, hey, you have a call center, but your skill sets are lower, or your language skills are not that great.
Right.
Now, think about this guy who is sitting in a remote village in India, who has good subject matter expertise. Let's say, for example, he can create multiple agents, right? Now, for the same amount of budget, he can actually give 100 or 200 people worth of capacity,
Right.
which is now tuned not just to English. He can now go into the French market, for example. He can talk Spanish, because agentic AI is able to take this very skills, convert these kind of document sets, convert these kind of data sets into respective languages, right? And as they grow, they start building this knowledge pool, which you can further train, build your LLM models, by which, in fact, you don't even have to go to the large language model. You can actually have small language models. That's the new area that we are going to see. So you can actually create small language models, which are very, very specific to your area or to your industry. Use the concept of agentic AI on top of it, and now give service to an area which is completely new. So your traditional customer, so where does this take? So you have, let's say your capability is in the customer support and services.
Right.
But earlier, you were not able to enter a new geography because of language skills.
Right.
Suddenly, this now opens up the possibility of you serving a new thing. So I don't just see this as an efficiency play. I also see this as a productivity play. It also gives you enormous revenue generating opportunities. So if you are strong in an area, this with agentic AI, now suddenly more and more possibilities open up. More and more things emerge up. And that's a good thing, is what I feel.
Yeah. And all these industries are getting heavily impacted, right? So, I mean, you see the changes that are happening in the pharma, for example. The drug discovery has been such
absolutely.
a chaotic or probably a human intensive job, and where you have decades of knowledge that sits in either some documents or deeper documents, which again boils down to the traceability part of documents, and also or even some unstructured format somewhere, even if it's in a database, right? So the power of agentic AI is it's now empowering the scientists to actually see different permutations and combinations of their composites and stuff like that. So drug discovery is getting a lot of, so that's just from one
Yeah, absolutely. I
You
remember.
talked about CFO's office
Yeah.
and and how CTO's offices, for
CTO's
example,
office.
CIO's offices per se, in global enterprises, where a lot of support services, right, and maintenance services could easily be kind of empowered or augmented with agentic AI. Yeah.
Right. I remember this use case, what I was working on, this drug discovery, and especially in the lab technician environment. So they used to write the combinations of medicines in a piece of paper, and just they have to, as a rule, they have to leave those papers on their desk and submit it on the racks, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they have a 6 months after a release, this combination might be tried by multiple lab technicians over and over again. But nobody knows us. Even though if I am sitting next to another lab technician, I might be trying one, and the technicians might be trying the same one.
Right.
But we don't know. So agentic AI is, the sources with using these data, they know these combinations has been already tried. What it does it shrinks your time period
Correct.
Absolutely.
of discovering something new. So yeah, I remember working on that use case once.
One of the things that I see is, as an AI entrepreneur, is I find a lot of customers struggling with the way they are going ahead with their AI implementation. They are all transformational leaders. They have done years of transformation. They have started bringing in newer technologies into their schemes. However, when it comes to AI, many of the times they struggle to find out how to do it. So as part of my initial experience with working with these customers, I devised a few formulas. One is I created this model called Arena, which will actually help us to evaluate and assess the customer's business needs. Then based on this business needs, we would create some things where we will identify what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what their aims are, and what their needs are. Now we will see if these needs can be then aligned to an AI program.
Right.
So let's say, for example, if one of your aims is to generate 30% of your revenue from net new sources, right? That's your aim. But let's say your strength was existing revenue, and your strength was managing existing customer channels, but you want to do something new. We identify what are the needs. And then based on the needs, we identify whether that can be aligned with AI. So what happens with that is there is an actionable AI implementation. So we have worked with customers who have got large data sets, and they're today completely processing it manually. It takes a lot of time for them. Now that's a weakness. Their aim is to be much more efficient, lesser cycle time. And that is where we felt there's a need for docketry. We should never use AI and retrofit a business problem.
Right.
We should have a business problem and find a solution using AI. These are two different things.
Right.
I think most of the businesses today, or most of the AI vendors today, what they do is they have a solution and they're trying to find a problem.
Right.
Whereas my approach would be to take a problem and then find a solution. Secondly, what I feel is every business must focus on business, operations, delivery, and innovation. So under business is things like revenue generation. Under operation, it is all about efficiency. Under delivery, it is all about productivity. And innovation, it's all about creativity. So how do you unleash this? That is where most of the organizations struggle. And that is where I feel the models that we have implemented has been really helpful, because it has created transformational impact, but it has also shown value on ground. Many people have created AI programs which has actually not helped the enterprise much.
Yeah.
Whereas in our case, we have been able to do that, and that's primarily because we look at the problem and find a solution. We don't go with a solution and find a problem. So, let me ask you this. So how do you foresee, I mean, this is the business side of how we look at AI and mastering AI. What do you think is the way we should master AI from a technical perspective? If let's say there's a CTO out there who wants to put together an AI program, how was your experience creating or crafting a technical strategy for them?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. In fact, most of the CIOs or CTOs or any other C-suite who have tried to implement AI, right? The first path everybody takes, or I mean, at least some matured companies, there is obviously maturity levels in terms of implementing or conceptualizing and implementing AI. But then most of them follow a path of pilot and then showing the value through a POV and then start and scale implementation, right? And then finally getting into an AI ops phase where they kind of do the maximum level of AI level support and maintenance. So most, I mean, at least the enterprises that we talk to, right, have been stuck at the phase of POV, right?
Yeah.
And they are not able to connect that value to the metrics.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. So we have to sit with them, really do a deeper AI consulting, coach them where they can actually start to kind of obviously put AI into action and convert those actionable metrics into their company or revenue growth goals, right? Typically, I mean, not just the revenue growth goals, but also efficiency growth goals in terms of margins, EBITDA, and stuff like that. So the key part again is from the word enterprises are stuck from pilot to POVs, and this is again the enterprises who have already started experimenting into it. There are a lot of enterprises who are yet to. They are in a phase of kind of reading about it, and it's in a knowledge gathering phase. I mean, the approach is obviously to start from scratch, including consulting to them, convincing them on the benefits of starting small with the pilots and POVs, and then scaling it up, right?
Yeah.
And today, the good part is we have a lot of frameworks that are available. For example, from the community, we have LangGraph, LangChain, True AI. From the proprietary side, we have Microsoft's kernels and AutoGen. A lot of technologies are available, which is kind of so they don't have to really worry about these technologies. We are kind of putting that, encapsulating that, abstracting that.
Correct.
With the power of our talker tree, right? So we are doing all that plumbing part, which they can obviously still focus on the value part, right? So for the enterprises, for the C-level, it's all about showcasing the value to their management, right? The leadership team, not just to the leadership and management, also the end customers, because today it's all about experience. Unless we provide experience through AI, nobody's going to take it. So I remember the times when Google Maps, how they tried to democratize it, right? I mean, it was initially not a great UI and experience that they provided, so people were not using it. But then over a period of time, their experience have grown. And by the way, what is powering that maps? It's not the experience alone, right? It's AI at the back end that is powering it. So it's a great model to follow for all the enterprises. Focus on experience, focus on the stronger back end, which is AI, and connect that into the metrics, right?
I completely agree with you, and I like that point of there is already a lot of frameworks which is available, right? And quite of them are right now in a proven stage. So companies really don't have to discover something new. There are already proven solutions which they can, like what we have, and we have implemented it in many customers' use cases.
Right.
So those are the places where I feel organizations should take advantage and leverage the partners like us, because we have a 360-degree view on the market problems, and we know which are the proven and non-proven solutions.
Right.
Now, even though we are talking about all these frameworks, I feel like the way Suraj mentioned, the operations have a lot of people, and acceptance is still a big challenge.
Yeah.
So when you create that journey, what could be accepted by people need to be also thought.
Correct. Cultural acceptance of AI.
Yes, cultural acceptance, because that's where the digital literacy plays an important role, right? So partners like us, when we get into such solutions, so I always talk to my customers from that perspective. It's like, do you think that department is open to adopt? If not, how do we coach it? And that's where the arena comes in play.
Correct.
Right, where we are actually giving a ratio which will help you utilize that budget and prove it to the maximum potential.
Correct.
Yeah, I really admire that arena framework which you have created, and it has actually proven, done magic to people.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Correct. So I think as an entrepreneur myself, one of the things that and with years and years of implementing systems for a lot of customers, building products, also being part of multiple other startups, I came up with this model called Magic, right? And the idea of Magic is that it stands for mastery, accountability, growth, innovation, and customer centricity. Now, these are very, high-level values. Many people may say, but the way I use it is, first of all, we need to have a growth target. So when I go to a customer, I ask them, what exactly is your growth target? Your growth target could be that, hey, I want to make this faster, or I want to even a reduction of cost and efficiency could be a growth target, because I want to do this to increase my EBITDA, for example. So I identify what their growth targets are, and I identify 4 or 5 key growth targets. Then for those key growth targets, I say, what do we need to master? For example, it could be, they could come back and say, okay, this is happening because I'm spending way too much time in terms of my financial operations, or it is happening because my marketing operations is not optimized. So we identify marketing as the area to master. We identify sales as an area to master. Sometimes it could be as simple as mastering the operations. So we identify mastering targets. Then for those mastery targets, we say, how does this impact the customer? Where does it bring the customer into play? And what does it do for the customer? Does it create productivity benefits? Will it create efficiency benefits for him? Right? So, and that customers could be both internal and external, right? And then what we say is, how do we innovate? So magic, when we take everything and then combine together, we say we can create magic. So even with AI, right? It's not about just going and implementing AI. It is about identifying what your growth needs are and then aligning your growth needs to this. And that is why I say, when I was looking at it and I said, what you're creating is true magic here.
Right.
So what happens with that is when your organization is aligned, everybody understands why you're doing this. It kind of allows cultural acceptance to the organization. And what happens is now you may have a team of 10 people, let's say, who are able to manage 1 million customers. Now the same 10 people can manage 2 million customers, provided that is your operational goal, right? And what happens with that is the marginal extra amount of money that you need to put in a budget is considerably reduced. So where AI is seeing benefit is when people are thinking through a framework. And that's my entire approach. I completely understand that organizations have their own models. But the idea is, how do we bring that model and create magic?
Yep. I think magic framework is definitely the one that we advocate, right? It's something all the enterprises, I would say, because we are seeing that change, right? So all the enterprises can try to adopt the good parts. I mean, again, as Surya said, maybe in a different name that comes out. But the essence of the magic framework, right, stays strong in terms of conceptualizing AI, in terms of democratizing AI, and in terms of scaling and implementing AI that starts finally showing into the numbers of the company, right? Like revenue, EBITDA, margins, and everything of the company. And it's key that, when we work with a lot of our customers, right? I mean, typically we being an AI enterprise, our all focus is on AI implementation. So we know the key challenges that a lot of these implementations have faced. That's what I was talking about, the POV to the real scalable implementation, right?
Yeah.
A lot of challenges. It's not a straightforward thing when it comes to, it's not just the culture, but in terms of aligning a lot more other components. You're not talking about legacy systems, right? So these companies have grown by, some of the companies have been growing organically, but inorganic growth companies where you grow by, a lot of acquisitions, we are talking about hundreds of systems.
Correct.
Now, how are those hundreds of systems interacting with AI, right? So, and there is actually a semantic kernel, framework that's coming out. It is basically trying to AIify, right, existing legacy systems and probably channelizing everything to an AI core system for enterprises. So semantic kernel is again from Microsoft, so they're trying to put that whole thing into, complexities into, and we are also playing one more level. We are even, abstracting on top of it, so that I would say a lot more complexities that biggies like the hyperscalers like Microsoft have thought through. we also know the complexities of SMB marketplace, right?
Yeah.
So we are trying to kind of put that all and trying to give kind of a one-stop shop, AI for, I would say, any type of, especially for SMBs,
Yeah.
we focus a lot more because they have a lot more challenges, in fact, in terms of, because they are more growth focused.
Yes.
They want to be a next Fortune 500, So challenges are more, they have a huge growth appetite. So I would say any company with a growth appetite, agentic AI and AI in general would be that one simple solution that's going to empower them to reach that growth, or I would say an accelerated growth goal.
So I had a great time discussing AI with you. So I want to thank you guys for being part of the show. And I want to thank you all for seeing this show. And we'll see you soon.